Alright, booktube. It's time for another literary rambling. So, I actually was originally going to do a video on Saturday, but then I wasn't feeling it, so I decided to wait until now to give you guys an update of what's going on with me, in my reading. So, I had a moment where I thought for a second I was going to actually be going through my first reading slump, because I am like obsessed with the Charmed reboot. I'm addicted to the show. And of course now they're on hiatus because one, they had to end early due to the pandemic. So the end of the season wasn't even much. It wasn't even really finale. It was just it ended on a cliffhanger, and it didn't, because like they had to stop filming because of the pandemic. And then, so we're going to get the last 3 episodes of season 2, and starting in season, that they will be the ones that will start season 3, which will not be until January 2021, although at least 2021. At least though it will be in the beginning of the new year, and I won't have to wait until the middle of the year. So basically I've been spending my time watching my favorite ship, watching clips of them, like those fan-made videos, and then watching people posted scenes of their scenes. And again, I wish I could just get rid of the stupid thing keeps popping up. This Google thing keeps popping up, and it just won't go away. I keep hitting close, and it keeps popping up. But I was worried because all I wanted to do was watch videos from about the show, like the gag reel from season 1 and the fan-made music videos of my favorite couple, and watching the clips of them, because the writer dragged out them getting together. So I thought, they kept teasing it, and it wasn't until the second to the last episode that they finally got together. And I just hope that we don't have to deal with that again in season 3, because the way it ended makes me nervous that we will have to deal with that. But I hope that the writers will not do that, and they will give us a lot of that couple in season 3. I'm going to be so mad, and we'll continue once again lose faith in screenwriting and writers for TV shows. But anyway, so I was worried that I was going to not have, it would take me a while before I get up the desire to read again, but then all of a sudden it kind of hit me. I was looking at my books here, and I decided to pick a book that I knew wouldn't take me as long to read, and that was this one, Gods of Jade and Shadow, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. It was really fun. It's about this girl, Cassiopeia, and it's set in the 1920s in Mexico. And it's her and her mom living with her grandfather and cousins, because her dad had passed away, and he was kind of a poor guy, and her grandfather thinks he was beneath her mother, so the mom was disowned. But then he, takes her and her mom in because the dad died, and Cassiopeia is treated essentially like a Cinderella. And, she has to take care of the grandfather. She's bullied by her cousin Martine. I think that's how you say it. I don't think you say it Martin. I think you say it Martine, because it has a little accent asterisk on the top of the I. So, but then, by chance, she discovers a chest in her grandfather's room and opens it, and a bone shard gets into her finger, and into her palm, and she accidentally released a Mayan god, Han Kame. I also don't know how I'm saying his name right. And she has to accompany him to find his brother who killed him, or cut him into pieces and locked him in the chest in the first place, and has taken his kingdom from him. So Han Kame and Cassiopeia must go in search for the body parts his brother hid, and he must reclaim his throne. But the problem is that Cassiopeia and him are literally connected, and that her humanity will influence him and make him more human, immortal, but in turn it will also kill her if they don't get rid of the bone shard. And of course, guess what happens? They fall in love. She starts to fall for him, and meanwhile they are being chased by her cousin Martine, who is trying to please his grandfather, who was originally I'm just gonna say enthralled to Han Kamei's brother. Like, he was working for his brother, so they send Martine because the grandfather is too old and apparently too lazy to go after his granddaughter himself. And this was just really good and really fun, and I like exploring a different mythology in different culture. Like, I think, especially now, I think it's very important for us to explore other cultures and read about other different mythologies and stuff like that. And I've gotten hints of the Mayan culture before. Like, there was actually on the show Supernatural, they did an episode that was kind of about the Mayan culture. Like, this guy, he was granted immortality. And he was like an athlete, a warrior or something, and he was granted immortality, so he kept living, and eventually the only way he could live was, I think he had to take, organs or something out of other humans so he could live. And so Sam and Dee have to go chasing after him and stop him. And so in that one, we kind of get a little bit, but this one delves more into the Mayan culture and the Mayan mythology. I really like the whole I think it was called the Black Road, where because they are death gods, and so she and her brother might have to compete in the competition. She and her cousin might be forced in a competition where they have to walk the Black Road, which is full of all these dangers and stuff, and people trying to deviate them or throw them off the path. And so they will have to cross this road to get to the Jade Palace, where the gods live, where the two brothers live. So it's really interesting. They also introduce a lot of other characters to kind of work for and help the two brothers, like whoever's in charge. They follow their and I like that demon dude Laray. I think that's how you say it. I think he was kind of fun and charming and interesting, and he kind of one of those characters that, he's like, he probably would help the highest bidder, whoever is running things, whatever. He's one of those characters that's all about what benefits him, but he's not, but at the same time, he's not as bad as some people, like some characters like that can be. He's, he generally respects Han Kamei, I think, and likes him, and he ends up liking Cassiopeia too. And finds her very interesting and worth being her friend. He wants to be friends with him, but he's a demon, so Cassiopeia is a little reluctant to trust him. And so this was a really fast read. I was, again, with YA, I feel like I get through most YA, unless it's something like this, I get through YA pretty fast, because a lot of times the chapters are really short. They're maybe 10 pages at the longest. And, it's very fast paced. And I think that's because, their main target audience for young adult books is young adults, is teenagers. So they want to keep them interested, so I feel like they have to kind of make it more fast-paced and more exciting, because not every teenager wants to read some slow-moving literary story. I mean, sometimes they get bored. They don't have the patience for that, because they would rather go to the mall, or play a video game, or, just hang out with, play some sports, hang out with their friends or something, instead of reading a book, taking the time to read a book that's going to take them, like, months, several hours to read. But this was fun. I really like this, and I definitely recommend it. Although I have to say, the way that Olive from Book Olive described it, for some reason I was picturing it like her working at a museum or something. I don't know why. That's what I was picturing in my head when Olive from Book Olive talked about this book, and her finding the chest and getting the bone shard in her hand and stuff like that. For some reason, the way she described it, I kept picturing like a museum. And then I started 2 other books. I started these 2 books. The Dwarfs, and finally started a little, most recent, Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. As you can see, I haven't got very far, and then I do not have much to say about this. We just got the the first reference to the shadow market, which, by the way, Cassandra Clare has, which you guys probably know this, but she has that book with the anthology with all the stories from the shadow market, so I want to get that one soon, but first I'm going to read this. I hope so, although I hope it's not one of those things where they say, oh, you should read the shadow market stories before you read the last book, or something. Or the second book, because that's what happened that's why it took me, one of my excuses why it took so long for me to get to this one, because they were like, oh, you should read Tales from the Shadowrunner Academy first, because there's some stories that kind of reference things in this particular trilogy. And yes, it's a trilogy. But yeah, I'm glad to start this. It'll be fun to get back into the Cassandra Clare's world. I know people have issues with her, and there are rumors that she's not very nice to her fans. She's not very respectful to her fans, but I remember just really enjoying the world when I was reading it. And when I read the other two books, I had a good time. Granted, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Bane Chronicles, even though I love Magnus Bane as a character. He's one of my favorites. The Bane Chronicles were just like, they were okay. I mean, I like some stories, and I like how there were references to characters that we learn about Alec and Isabel's dad, and part of why he is the way he is, which I'm sure a lot of people are like, I don't care, he's an asshole, why do we need to feel sorry for him? But there's no rule saying you have to feel sorry for characters if they get a sob story or a story that explains. Sometimes it's just interesting to find out why they are the way they are, but it doesn't mean you have to feel sorry for them. Or be like, well, this happened to them back then, so that excuses everything. You know, it doesn't excuse everything. So it's just interesting to know, and to know that what led up to them making those bad choices. But so like I said, I don't have much to say about this because I started to fall asleep really quickly last night, and when I started reading this. Should have known better, because I was, I could feel it. I could feel the tiredness coming on. It's just I always try to read a little bit before I go to sleep. So I got to page 4. I only got through 4 pages. And then while this one, it's kind of a similar problem where I will start reading it, I will read it in bed and then I'll fall asleep. So I got past the prologue at least, and I'm on page 31. But then the other problem is I've been reading it at work during my breaks, and my breaks are only 15 minutes long, so I don't get a lot read. I just, what I always tell people is I bring a book because I want to show you guys that we millennials don't just sit there and stare at our phones. We actually do other stuff. But I haven't really gotten into this yet. All I know is we've met. Something weird happens in the beginning where someone opens up something to the world of Girdlegard or something, and opens the doorway, and it's not good, and he releases some evil entity that looks like an elf, I think, but it's not. And we have met Tungdil, and he's a blacksmith, but he's, he has a very interesting relationship he has a pretty positive relationship with the people in the kingdom. It's not that bad, but he's the only one of his kind as far as he knows, and he wants to meet others of his kind. And he has a very interesting rivalry with the sorcerer of this kingdom. I always like this kind of stories when characters have this rivalry or friendship or something, or a frenemies kind of situation to another character. It's always entertaining and interesting, and I'm kind of speaking of that, I'm hoping that season 3 kind of goes in that direction with certain characters on Charmed, the reboot, because apparently people hissy fit because it's still called Charmed. They should change the name. They shouldn't have called it Charmed because it's not Charmed. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping in season 3 of the show that we get a little bit of the frenemies kind of situation, because there's a character that kind of becomes part of their lives, and as I told Terry, I have mixed feelings about this character, because this character kind of gets in between my ship and starts blowing holes in the ship, and I was very unhappy, but I also kind of like her character too. She's very entertaining and very snarky and sassy, and adds a nice mix. And I kind of like those scenarios where you have a character that's villainous and evil and selfish and stuff, and then they get thrown in having to work with the guys and with the heroes, and kind of like, and I say guys because I was thinking about Supernatural with Crawley, where Crawley was a demon, he was evil and stuff, but then he gets humanity, he gets human blood in his system. In fact, he becomes addicted to it at one point. But even before that, he was constantly helping Sam and Dean and having to, because it would affect him if he didn't help him a lot of times. So he kept working with them and helping them, and that's what I'm hoping for Abigail, that even though as long as she doesn't get between my ship again, then I'm cool with her character, and I feel like it could be that kind of situation like with Crawley and the Winchesters. Like maybe Abigail becomes, that's her name by the way, Abigail, the character. I hope she ends up working with the Hollowell, the Vera Vaughn sisters, and just starts having to ally her, become their ally and friend. I think that would be very interesting and entertaining to see that. So I feel like I need to read a little bit of both these books. For right now, I need to start them soon. I probably should start them before I get caught up and turn watching videos. Although I might not, because there have been times where I have been able to control myself and I'll start watching a few videos and decide, okay, I need to take a break and do some reading. That's the downside about it being rainy and wet today, is that it's not, because I can't sit, I mean I could because it's not raining right now, but it's wet and dirty, and in fact, I'm probably will not be going for my run even if the rain is not going on right now, because then the ground is all puddly and muddy and wet, and so I'll get all, my shoes all dirty and stuff, and potentially get water in my socks, so I don't want to have to deal with that. But if it gets muddy, if it gets sunny, then maybe, I don't know. I'll see how I feel, but I have put aside David Copperfield for now. I'll come back to it, and we might be going to my grandma's because my cousin, I don't know if it's his birthday or graduation. I think it's his graduation party. That's what I think my mom has on the calendar, his graduation party. So we might go to visit them. The problem is my mom's a little apprehensive because they've been hanging out with all their friends and stuff, so even if they're safe and cautious, they're still, my mom's still worried about the whole pandemic and everything, and what if one of them had gotten sick or something? She doesn't want to be around them, and my grandma's in her 80s, so my mom doesn't want my grandma to be around them either, because of because my grandma's of that age, beyond that age group. She's in her 80s, so if, she's worried. And, my dad's pretty good about listening to my mom. If she doesn't want to go and is worried, then he'll probably agree, let's not go. We don't need to go. But who knows? And if we do go, then I might bring David Copperfield with me, so I can read that one. And what I'll probably have is I'll bring a whole bunch of books, and we'll only be there for a night or 2 nights. We might only be there for a couple days, and then it'll be like, why did I bring all these books? But for some reason, I never can narrow it down, and it gets to the point where I do start to narrow it down, but then I'm like, oh hell, I'm gonna bring all of them, or maybe not all of them, but I'll bring a lot of them with me, even if I never get to them, because I just can't decide. And it's like, I don't have my books here with me. I don't have I can't bring my whole shelf with me, so it's like, oh my, I end up feeling like, oh, I should have started that one. I should bring this one. I should bring this one. No, I should start this one, and I can never narrow it down. But so I'm gonna start these. I'm gonna work on these 2, and I feel like I need to start this one as well, because this one also will not take me as long. The Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow, because it's middle grade, and even though it's a big book, it's a fatty. I feel like it will still not take me as long. Because even when I was reading the Keeper of Lost City series, that did not take me that long either. It didn't take me as much time to read those books, because it's middle grade, so I get through them really fast. So that's what's going on right now with my reading. I don't know if you could hear them. My dog Rascal is laying behind me and sighing. He's like so exhausted, even though he hasn't done much today. He's a sweet boy. Sweet boy. This is his favorite spot because he can look out the window and bark at everybody. Anyway, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell notification below if you want to know when I'll post new videos. And I will talk to you guys later. Hope you're enjoying your reading. Bye!